So you alluded to this earlier, and you just got to New York yesterday,
Yes.
but Sunday there was kind of a big, there's something we want to.
I almost didn't come. I felt unsafe.
We need to talk about the Israel parade on Sunday.
Yes, there was this massive, it's a yearly parade where like all of the supporters of Israel and various politicians who want to, who are opportunistic hacks or have terrible ideologies, which I guess those two things kind of go hand in hand, come together and celebrate this settler colony that's destroying the region of the world I come from and doing a lot of damage in this country as well. And that is the Israel Parade. And this year, the Israel Parade was attended by, like usual, Israeli government officials. The one that's gotten the most attention for being there is the finance minister, or not finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who is national security minister. Let me double check myself on that. But Bezalel Smotrich is one of the most Minister of Finance, excuse me. But he's also, I believe, in charge of West Bank settlement stuff. But he attended yesterday. I was confusing him with Ben-Gvir. Itamar Ben-Gvir, who has similar politics to Bezalel Smotrich. But anyways, Smotrich was there. He's obviously been an ardent supporter of the genocide in Gaza, like has explicitly stated so, like we should basically like eliminate everybody there. Same with Lebanon. This is like one of the people who would fall in like the messianic, ultra-religious, like illegal settler sort of category of Israelis. And he's often, I think framed as though he's some sort of marginal figure in Israel, but he's not. He is the finance minister. He's a government official. So he was there. This guy is an open fascist and an open genocidal maniac. And so it was surprising to see a parade that embraced him and others, and I'll go into who else was there, others like him, be attended by so many American Democratic politicians. So I want to start off by playing a clip from Senator Chuck Schumer giving a speech at this parade.
The Holocaust showed the world what Jews have known for millennia, that our security and our safety is never safe as long as we lack a place of refuge, a homeland. To quote the great Irish writer Conor Cruise O'Brien, anti-Semitism is a light sleeper. And now we are seeing an ugly resurgence of anti-Semitism across the world, driven by the same lies and libels that have tormented the Jewish people for generations, except now they're transmitted at the speed of a fiber optic internet connection. In 30 seconds, lies are on your pocket phone. That's why a Jewish state is more important than ever. Anti-Semitism isn't going away. It always lingers, stalks in the shadows, waiting for the right conditions. For millennia, let them hear that loud and clear. The Jewish people have yearned for a state of Israel, whilst experiencing the constant anxiety of knowing the place where they lived could violently expel them at any moment, has happened again and again. We must not go back to that era. I believe in the state of Israel. I support the state of Israel. If there had been a state of Israel in 1941, dozens of my ancestors would have been able to flee Nazi persecution. So, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's in Israel or in America or around the world, Am Yisrael Chai. The people Israel live. Thank you.
That's just disgusting. You know what? I live in constant anxiety when I'm in Lebanon because that country that he's celebrating as some sort of refuge, that fascist settler colony, is constantly dropping bombs on the country my family and I live in and come from and were lived in for generations because that's our ancestral land. That the country he's supporting is trying to steal. Chuck Schumer, is he from the Middle East?
No.
He's definitely not Middle Eastern as far as I can tell. But he thinks that this place belongs to him, not because he wants to live in it, by the way. This is a multi-millionaire, very successful, leading U.S. senator. He is the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, whining that he needs a just-in-case settler fascist state in case he has to flee because of something that happened in the 40s. And, I challenge this exceptionalism of when it comes to Jews that he is reiterating, because yes, there was a Holocaust. Historically, Jews have been persecuted in various parts of the world, specifically in Europe, by the way. But so have a lot of other populations. They don't get to go make a fascist settler colony as a just-in-case refuge. And by the way, the people who populate Israel in 2026 wouldn't like you because they would consider you some crazy leftist because you're not some ultra right-wing psycho. But kind of are. But that is disgusting to me, that because Chuck Schumer, a multi-millionaire, successful man in the US, a white man in the US, supports a state that is stealing land and destroying everything around it, literally turning entire areas of the world, ancient places, into post-apocalyptic moonscapes that kills journalists and rescue workers on purpose and entire families in their home. That because that man needs a just in case.
No, it's...
I have to suffer. My family has to suffer. Palestinians have to... We all just need to get out of his way for as much land as he needs to not have anxiety while there are actual bombs dropped on us. It's insane. This is a white Jewish supremacist. That is what Chuck Schumer is, saying that I need to suffer so he can feel better from New York City. Give me a break. Give me a break.
It's disgusting.
And then I want to move on. It wasn't just Chuck Schumer. I mean, this won't surprise anybody. This is not exactly a Democrat. I don't actually know. I think I don't know. Does she have a party?
She's just cop.
Which can be Democrat or Republican. The chief of the NYPD, Jessica Tisch, bragging what a beautiful day it was as she joined this fascist parade. And we know she's an ardent Zionist.
Yeah.
She joined, of course, with Michael Bloomberg.
Lovely.
And was bragging about NYPD security at her parade. We also have, this was a little bit more irritating, the Attorney General of the state of New York, Letitia James, saying that she was proud to join New York's Jewish communities at the Israel Day Parade to celebrate culture, history, resilience, and the deep ties that bind our communities together. Did nobody on her staff let her know that this is like a fascist settler colony that is currently carrying out genocides in more than one country?
And is wanted by the ICC, which in a way is like...
wanted by the ICC, yes.
Like her colleagues in a way, since she's in the judicial branch. So, it's just like, are you... And it would be... I mean, and the funny thing... I mean, it's not funny at all, but the fact that... they say, okay, well, anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, but and they're saying, oh, this is great for the Jewish people. It is the Israel Day Parade. It is celebrating Israel.
No, it wasn't the Jewish Day Parade.
It's not the Jewish People's Parade. It is Israel. You are celebrating a genocidal fascist ethno-state. That is it.
With a lot of its leadership wanted having ICC warrants against them.
Yeah.
And then you had her after, I think, a lot of backlash, including from people like me, because I was literally like, did nobody on this woman's staff, nobody on her staff, tell her this is a bad idea. So then Letitia James tried to walk it back, saying... she basically quote tweeted somebody who was talking about how nobody knew Smotrich was going to be there. He just showed up. And she said, Islamophobia has no place in New York. I unequivocally condemn Bezalel Smotrich hateful rhetoric. Okay, that's nice. But he is literally the embodiment of the state of Israel. Not only that, it wasn't just Bezalel Smotrich who was problematic, who attended. And again, this is a man, by the way, he was honored at this event under the banner of the New York Jewish community. So it doesn't sound like somebody who just showed up and happened to be in the front.
Yeah, the police escort for a member of a foreign government.
This man has called for segregating Jewish and Arab mothers in maternity wards, by the way. That's like pretty typical of him. He's advocated for starving Gaza and basically eliminating everybody there and taking it over and settling it. He's advocated for the same in South Lebanon, displace all the Shias, take it over, settle it with Israeli Jews. And of course, he's now driving this settler violence campaign on the West Bank, which is just lynchings every single day. It's so horrific what's taking place in the West Bank. Also something you're not going to really see covered in the New York Times more than once every 6 months. But this is not some marginal figure. Again, he serves in the Israeli government, but again, it wasn't just him. There were other figures who were also at this parade. And before I get into that, I also just want to point out Zohar Mamdani refused to attend.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really important.
Really
I know some people didn't think he went far enough because his NYPD chief attended, but I mean, he can't control her, even though I don't think she should be his NYPD chief. Right. That's a bad on his part that he kept her. But I thought this is the first time a mayor of New York City did not attend. He was very explicit about why he didn't attend. Because this is a genocidal state, and there are advocates of genocide who have ICC warrants against them attending this event. And I don't want to entertain that. There was also a man called Itzhak Wasserloff. He was coaching the IDF as they entered Gaza, offering a blessing on the one who seizures babies and bashes them against the rocks. And then a cabinet minister called Amihai Ben Eliyahu, who called on bombing humanitarian aid to Gaza, called for starving Gaza, and also called for nuking Gaza. He was at this parade. Does Letitia James condemn him yet? And then, of course, there was Bezalel Smotrich, who said it's just and moral to starve 2 million Gaza residents. But unfortunately, no one will let us. And actually, the world is letting them. And I've said a bunch of other things about what he supports. There was a man called Ariel Kellner. And by the way, Raphael Shamunev did a Twitter thread on this. So I'm going through because he labeled who was there and why it matters. This is a man who says this is an Israeli who said, whoever remains in the north, we will truly starve them. One goal, Nakba. A Nakba will overshadow the Nakba of 1948. A Nakba in Gaza and a Nakba for anyone who dares join. And he was one of the 8 officials who signed a letter demanding the elimination of all food and power sources in Gaza. So that's another Israeli official there. Also, Amir Ohana, Speaker of the Israeli Knesset, he praised Donald Trump's proposal to relocate people of Gaza and redevelop Gaza, calling it a bold new vision and a fresh perspective. And he said, if you want a Palestinian state, build it in London or Paris. And I mean, for time's sake, I can't keep going on here, but this thread goes on and on. Also, Eric Adams was there, not a surprise there. He's bought and paid for by the Turks and the Israelis somehow. But yeah, I mean, this is completely unacceptable. The fact that Democrats attend this rally, Zoe, to me, is just giving the middle finger to their base, because we've seen that the majority of the people who support the Democratic Party or in the Democratic Party are now more pro-Palestine and vehemently opposed to Israel and believe what Israel's doing in Gaza is a genocide. And yet you have the leader of the Senate Democrats.
I also just want to point out that for 2.5 years, and arguably still to this day, there were protests and mass demonstrations against the genocide in Gaza, protesting Israeli officials when they came to New York City for over 2.5 years. And oftentimes Zionist agitators would show up, but in very few numbers. And so I feel like there's also an element that they tried to carry out this parade to show, no, New York is not a pro-Palestine, anti-Zionist city. This is, we can have this massive parade. But I just want to say that, that is not, yes, they were able to have this parade and be condemned by, literally everyone who actually matters in terms of, politically, because the city of New York elected Zohran Mamdani, who ran unequivocally anti-genocide and pro-Palestine. So, the people in this city are against genocide, do not support war crimes, and do not support war criminals being in their city. And so, yes, they were able to do this parade. It does not have the support of the majority of New Yorkers or the majority of Jewish New Yorkers. And as a Jewish New Yorker, I do feel deeply unsettled that this was made to be a celebration of Judaism in New York. It's disgusting. And this is what actually makes Jewish people feel unsafe, having war criminals saying that they're representing them. It is atrocious, and that's a whole different thing. And I'm not going to make it about Jews, obviously, but this is the issue. And I just want to say New York will continue to be a city that rejects genocide and rejects war criminals, and them having this parade is just a show that the NYPD is able to clear a parade route. There are parades in the city constantly, and the people don't support this.
Also, I've had it with these politicians who claim they're all going on and on about how much they care about anti-Semitism. And that's why they need their just in case fascist settler state. People like Chuck Schumer will say this. Meanwhile, they're literally basically saying that Jews and Israel are the same thing. And, the institutionalized, like Jewish institutions in America have absolutely been responsible for promoting that idea. Because I mean, I believe there was a very well-known synagogue in New York that's been participating in basically selling land, West Bank land to like illegally selling land, and also promoting people like Bezalel Smotrich. So you are intertwining a genocidal fascist state into organized Jewish institutions in North America, holding an Israel Day parade and saying it's all Judaism, Jewishness, and then getting angry when people conflate the two. And it's like, you can't have it both ways. Like, that you're causing that. And then you want to sit here and tell me you're living in constant anxiety, where you're creating those conditions, by the way. But also, they're not institutional anti-Semitic conditions. You are creating the conditions for anti-Semitism on individual levels, but there's nothing institutional in this country that's anti-Semitic, unless you want to talk about the conflation of Israel and Judaism. But then in the same vein, you are saying that it's okay to bomb me, to destroy everything around me and the people around me, destroy over 50,000 homes in Lebanon, to literally steal 14 to 20% of Lebanon and say Lebanese can't access it anymore, to erase Gaza, to slowly erase the West Bank, and literally murder children all day, every day, around the clock, so that you feel less anxious from your multi-million-dollar penthouse apartment in New York City. Like, I'm so sick of these privileged white people acting like victims. That is what Chuck Schumer is, acting like victims when they are supporting this monstrosity. Where every day I open my Twitter feed and it's limbs missing from children and parents crying or children crying because they've lost one or the other. Like, it's just, it baffles the mind. I know we've run out of banter time here. I could literally just rant on and on about how outrageous this is, but we'll have to leave it there.